People 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku, and here are the top stories. Bashir Ahmed discloses how farmers diverted billions of naira under Anchor Borrowers Program. Also, kidnappers abduct 2 Delta police students. Lagos APC members protest demand chairman's removal. Also, Peter Obi tackles President Tinubu, says he is overfeeding Nigerians with wrong statistics. Also, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in a very recent development, reacts to Yola flood and Niger boat accidents, discloses no further engagement in activities that further compounds the problem. SDP National Working Committee expels former Governor El-Rufai for 30 years. In another development, former ANPP bloc threatens exit from APC, make demands from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Details now. The news begins with a former presidential media aide during the administration of late President Muhammadu Buhari, Bashir Ahmed, disclosing that several Nigerians who obtained federal government loans under the Anchor Borrowers Program failed to utilize the fund for the expected reason. Ahmed pointed out that several farmers who benefited from the scheme diverted the funds to other sectors like oil and gas, bureau of exchange, and other luxury ventures. The former presidential aide made the revelation while responding to a challenge by a social media user identified as Yakubu Wudil on X, who queried the decision of the current government to offer import waivers as part of measures to crash food prices. Woodil argued that the government should have introduced measures such as subsidizing fertilizers, gasoline, and providing modern farm equipment for the farmers. In response, Ahmed recalled how many farmers obtained loans under the Anchor Borrowers Program and diverted the funds. He added that some who used the funds for farming hoarded their produce, waiting for prices to spike so they could make exaggerated profits at the expense of the masses, thus defeating the government's intention of the program. Buhari's government, if you recall, introduced the Anchor Borrowers Program in 2015 to create a linkage between anchor companies involved in the processing of key agricultural commodities and smallholder farmers. In 2023, the Central Bank of Nigeria said it disbursed 1.09 trillion naira under the program since its inception. In an unfortunate development, the 2 students of the Delta State Polytechnic Ogwashiukwu in Aniocha South local government area have been abducted. VOP News gathered that the 2 were from the Department of Science Lab Tech at the Polytechnic, while community sources disclosed to correspondents that the victims were driving home to Asaba in a Toyota saloon car when they were double-crossed and taken away on Friday. It was also learned that the victim's vehicle is currently parked at the Ogwa police station. When contacted, the police public relations officer in the state, Bright Edafe, said he was yet aware of the incident as of the time this report was being filed. He says, and I quote, "I am not aware of this." While in Lagos State, some members of the APC have staged a peaceful protest today at the front of the Lagos State House of Assembly, calling for the immediate removal of the party state chairman, Pastor Cornelius Ojelabi, and federal lawmaker James Faleke over what they described as imposition of candidates and anti-grassroots leadership. The protesters, made up of men and women from all 57 local council development areas and in the state, carried placards with inscriptions such as "Ojelabi must go," "Falake is a betrayer," and "Ojelabi Mr. Voters' Apathy." Their voices echo demands for inclusion, fairness, and an end to what they described as top-down manipulation of local politics. Correspondents who monitored the protest said there was a heavy presence of security personnel around the assembly premises, ensuring that the protest remained peaceful. During the protest, the Lagos State Deputy Governor, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, arrived at the scene with his entourage, but was unable to address the agitated crowd. Protesters surrounded his vehicle in large numbers, chanting and demanding immediate action from the government. Seeing no opportunity to speak or safely engage, the deputy governor was forced to drive away without addressing the demonstrators. One of the protest leaders, Ogumba Adetumbosun from Ikorodu, said the protest was a result of dissatisfaction with the way local government elections were conducted and how supervisory positions were being imposed without input from the grassroots. He He added that many members were not against those who won elected position, but insisted that the lack of the inclusive consultation was troubling. Another protester, whose name is Mrs. Bola Balogun from Agbado Kyodo LCDA, accused top APC leaders of stifling local democracy. Speaking during the interview in a very recent development, Mr. Governor and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Jalabi and Falake, they disclosed that they were choking the Lagos State APC. Also appeal for calm, urging them to intervene before the party loses its grip on Lagos. They said, and I quote, "President Tinubu should please come to our aid. We are tired. We have been here since 8 a.m. No food, no attention. Is this the reward of our loyalty?" Balogun questioned. Another protester expressed frustration of being used during campaigns but ignored afterwards. A visibly angry party elder from Unibungu LCDA, Alhaji Talibulawal, accused Falake and other party leaders of single-handedly selecting local government appointers. Now, the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi has accused President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of plunging Nigeria and its citizens further into poverty. Peter Obi, in a personally signed statement released via his X account today, said under Tinubu's watch, Nigeria is now classified as one of the hungriest nations in the world. The Labour Party chieftain recalled how President Tinubu, as a presidential candidate during the 2023 election campaigns, berated him for frequently quoting statistics. Obi, however, said the same Tinubu, after assuming power, is now disseminating incorrect statistics about the economic situation in Nigeria as a way to cover up his failures as president. Well, the former Anambra State governor concluded that governance is not rocket science and urged President Tinubu to rule with purpose, character, competence, capacity, and compassion. According to him, it was possible to have a new Nigeria. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has sympathized with the victims of the recent Yola flood disaster in Adamawa State as well as a Niger State boat accident. The president, in a statement released today by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanaga, conveyed his heartfelt condolences and sympathy to the communities and families of the victims of those affected. Well, in this recent development, the president used the opportunity to actually note that the flooding is a global phenomenon exacerbated by climate change, however, urging citizens to refrain from engaging in activities that further compounds the problem. He also commended the response of government agencies and first responders who assisted in search and recovery efforts. Tinubu subsequently directed that comprehensive rescue and relief efforts be conducted by the National Emergency Response Center and the National Emergency Management Agency in collaboration with the authorities of Adamawa and Niger State. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has rejected the attempt by the Independent National Electoral Commission to set aside the judgment directing and compelling INEC to investigate and prosecute perpetrators and sponsors of electoral violence and other electoral offences committed during the 2023 general elections. This development was disclosed on Sunday by Serap Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare. INEC's application was brought to challenge the contempt lawsuit brought by Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project against INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu over the Commission's failure to obey the 18th July 2024 judgment by Justice Obiora Egwatu. INEC had on the 17th of December 2024 filed a preliminary objection seeking to set aside Justice Egwatu's judgment on the grounds of alleged misrepresentation, non-disclosure and concealment of material facts. INEC also sought to release the Serap lawsuit against INEC so that it can be heard and determined on the merits. But Justice Egwatu, in his ruling dated July 23, 2025, rejected INEC's arguments and dismissed the preliminary objection. In his ruling, Justice Egwatu held that the judgment delivered by this court on the 18th of July 2024 is a final judgment. It is a judgment on the merits and not a default judgment as contended by INEC. Accordingly, I resolve the issues in favor of Serap and against INEC, end quote. Justice Egwatu's 19-page ruling read in part, which stipulated all the judgment proceeding. Well, the judge says that the court cannot, on the basis of bureaucratic bottlenecks, facts and administrative challenges within INEC transmute the judgment delivered after a compassionate consideration of the evidence placed before the court into a default judgment. Also, they stated that the law is settled that once a court delivers its judgment, it becomes functus officio, except to correct some clerical error or mistakes. Now, the Social Democratic Party has expelled former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai from its fold, declaring him ineligible to associate with the party in any capacity for the next 30 years. This was contained in a statement issued in Abuja on Sunday by the party's National Publicity Secretary, El-Rufai INEC, following a decision reached by the National Working Committee after investigations into El-Rufai's alleged false membership claims and political maneuvers. According to INEC, El-Rufai never formally registered with the party at his ward level as required by the SDP constitution, but went ahead to falsely announce on social media that he had joined the party. The party therefore accused El-Rufai of gross indiscipline, misinformation, inducement, manipulative actions that it said had fueled internal divisions and threatened the SDP's unity and ideological integrity. The SDP further claimed that El-Rufai had publicly aligned himself with the African Democratic Congress while simultaneously attempting to drag the SDP into an unapproved political coalition, undermining party principles. Consequently, the SDP announced that El-Rufai had been banished and banned from applying for membership, identifying with the name, insignia, logo, or participating in any affairs of the SDP for 30 years effective immediately. The party also called on the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC and other relevant authorities to take note that El-Rufai is not authorized to act or speak on its behalf, especially for the SDP. Now, the former All Nigeria People's Party ANPP bloc within the ruling All Progressives Congress has warned President Bola Ahmed Tinubu against what it described as a continued marginalization of its members, threatening to exit the party ahead of the 2027 general elections. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja today, the group operating under the Association of Former ANPP Members alleged that both the Congress for Progressive Change and the APC blocs had dominated the power structure since the 2015 measure that gave rise to the ruling party. The national coordinator of the group, Vitalis Orikeze Ajumbe, who read the prepared statement, stated that while the CPC faction had produced a president for 8 years and the ABC bloc currently holds power, the ANPP bloc has been sidelined despite being the second largest contributor to the party's formation. The group specifically cautioned against any attempt to tamper with the vice presidential position in future elections, insisting it remains sacrosanct for the ANPP bloc. You're currently listening to the World News right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into the news analysis segment where I'm being joined right here in the studio with Mr. Dele Fanimo, who is a political, national and social affairs commentator. Mr. Dele Fanimo will be giving us some insights into some questions posed to him on the stories read out on the World News at 6. Do kindly stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. This is still the World News right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Mr. Dele Fanimo, good evening and thank you for joining us today.
Good evening, Esther.
Mr. Dele Fanimo, welcome. Happy New Week.
Oh, sure. Thanks so much.
So there was a protest today at the Lagos State House of Assembly where some APC members are demanding that the chairman be removed. According to them, there are complaints. They staged a peaceful protest anyway. Their complaint is that there are serious imposition of candidates and there is a method of grassroots, anti-grassroots leadership. The protesters were made up of men and women in the 20 local government areas and 37 LCDAs, which makes it 57. And they complained about a person named as Ojelabi, that he must go, Falake is a betrayer, and Ojelabi, Mr. Voters' apathy. The voices echoed for demands of inclusion, fairness, and end to what they described as top-down manipulation and local politics. So as it stands right now, major people within that particular protesters, as the protesters are gathered there, are complaining that there is imposition, they're not happy with what is going on, there is no inclusivity, and that there are those who were properly elected, but there are some who were not elected that were imposed on them. They complained, however, that this is injustice that they witnessed in the just concluded local government elections. In fact, they said they are not hoodlums. They want peaceful engagement like they used to have in the days of Senator Bayo Oshinowo, who believed in justice for the grassroots. So, Mr. Dele Fanimo, why do you think this is apparent and very obvious this time? The president did not make mention of anything. I recall during the local government elections, there were some protesters who complained about imposition of candidates as local government chairmen. Some people said they've been online for years and they expected that after putting all the work, it will be their time. But when it got to the time, nobody responded. Instead, another candidate was brought from nowhere and imposed. And it's not just for the local government, even for councillors, even for speakers, candidates were imposed. Is this not anti-democratic? Why will the APC be connected to such a method, all right, especially at the local government, known for imposition, authoritarianism? What exactly is the problem?
Oh, the problem is, one, on the side of the electorate. Two, on the side of the political elite.
Okay.
You see, the point is the APC. If you remove the CPC component of the APC and APP, and then a fraction of a PDP, those who lay claim to the ownership of that political party, particularly in the Southwest, they are offshoot of UPN Action Group.
Okay.
And if you are a student of political history, you will know that when Action Group held sway, there is supremacy of the party over individual contestants, such that even as a councillor, you must have a link with the top hierarchy of the party. Awolowo was in charge of that political party, Action Group. And up until when it transformed to UPN, Awolowo was in charge, supported and assisted by his aides like Chief Bolagui of blessed memory, Pa Alayode, Pa Alfred Uriwani, Adekunle Ajasin.
Okay.
These were his lieutenants. But at some point, political parties, during the Action Group, I'm sure it will be strange to some of these latter-day politicians and even electorate that people owned that party. The pepper seller, the tomato seller, the barber, the masons, the welders, these, all these people, they had cards, membership cards of that political party. that they pay certain token amount of money into the party to support the party. So the people owned the party, but along the line, after the Third Republic fell, Fourth Republic came on board. Suddenly, there was a reversal of roles, such that the moment you are elected to a particular office, either as a House of Rep member, if you are elected as member of House of Rep, you automatically own that party in that constituency, not minding the existence of those who are party chieftains. If you become a governor, the party is automatically handed over to you. Then the chairman is at your behest. If you become a president, look at the way they are changing national chairman of political parties. Adisa Akinloye, Augustus Meredith Adisa Akinloye, former chairman of MPN, held sway for the period of between 1979 and 1983, when that government was toppled, such that the likes of Joseph Wires, Ume Ezeoke, all of them, they have recourse to AMA Akinloye before they can take any position on NPN. Same way UPN also had. So I'm just giving you a kind of history so that you can now know where we're coming from. But as soon as this republic came, the whole thing became messy. It now became whoever has a deep war chest takes over the country. Look at what Wike is doing to UPN.
Yes, exactly.
PDP. So it is the same thing that is going on in Lagos State. Political party in Lagos State is APC, but the nucleus of it is the Action Congress of Nigeria.
Nigeria, yes, obviously.
So, and they want to hold on to their culture of politicking. And
basically for Lagos State.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Dilifanimo, let's look at a situation like this. The SDP has expelled former Governor El-Rufai for 30 years. And it's funny because this same SDP was a party that was used in 1993, right? If I'm very, very correct, by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It was a political party that he has actually used. Even Atiku Abubakar too was once a member of the SDP. And when El-Rufai joined the SDP, a lot of Nigerians were not comfortable with it. They feel that, El-Rufai, even if, outside the disposition looks like he is not happy or in good terms with the president, that there's a tendency that the SDP they thought would be what they would adopt for the coalition. So they felt that if El-Rufai is there, he could be more for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But now, do you think that the APC has any hand in what actually is going on in the SDP, that they're expelling him? He should never speak on behalf of the party for whatever reason. And they also said that he publicly came out that he's not actually a member of the SDP before he made any announcement. So is this a way of rendering him partyless?
For me, SDP did not render El-Rufai partyless.
Okay. No, I mean, okay.
He rendered himself partyless. Because when he was going to SDP, he was supposed to be John the Baptist for the Jesus.
Who is the Jesus?
Atiku.
He's going to be the John the Baptist and Atiku will be the Jesus. Okay.
The same way Aregbesola and they went to ADC waiting for the Jesus to come.
Okay.
And when El-Rufai, and that's his trademark, he believes he can have his way anytime, any day, anyhow. He came to SDP. You recall that I want to believe that you've not forgotten everything that is happening today. I predicted them.
You said so at some point. There was a day we had a conversation here.
I said, this SDP that these people are rushing to, they cannot stay there. Because El-Rufai came as if he's the GOC of a barracks that everybody must submit to him. You didn't even knock before you enter another man's house. And you think that person will be receptive of you. It's not possible. He came to SDP and he rode roughshod on the people he met. And I knew that he was going to come to this. And because majority of them knew that they don't have a place to stay, they left him there, jumped to ATC, and it was too late in the day for him to move. And as a matter of fact, his movement, I knew it was going to be short-lived. When I told you that ADC was erected on a quicksand about 2 or 3 weeks ago, is it not playing out now?
It is.
So, El-Rufai, and besides, what political capital is El-Rufai bringing to SDP?
He's not bringing any political capital?
Nothing. Because when you want to start, for a former governor that nobody wants to see him Kaduna, where he ruled 8 years, not in 1935 or 1938, just recently, he left barely 2 years ago. Now, there is a case on him, 453 billion naira case of fraud, alleged fraud.
Do you think he made a mistake leaving the All Progressives Congress?
And
do you think he hurriedly left the APC, even if he was angry with the president?
He didn't hurriedly leave APC. He was shamed. He was rubbished. He was taken to the cleaners in APC because they were waiting for him.
Okay.
When you do double speak, when you present a Janus face in an environment, everybody around will be very, very wary of dealing with you. And they needed that. If they had told El-Rufai that it was not going to say true at the ministerial screening in the Senate, he probably wouldn't have gone there. But he was assured that he would get that ticket, and they waited for him to humiliate him. They humiliated him in Kaduna, they humiliated him in National. So where is he going to? That state he governed for 8 years, that became so restive.
Okay, after he left.
No, during that period,
there,
Southern Kaduna was in the news for wrong reasons.
A lot of time.
For the better part of 8 years. Now somebody came and there was calm. And there was progress. That same state you governed. So what are you going to rely on? People are still talking about what Peter Obi did in Anambra. What are you going to tell about El-Rufai in a Kaduna state? So what political capital is it bringing up? Kwakwanso was in Kano more than 12, 13 years ago. Till today, he's still relevant. He has a movement.
Interesting. All right, let's look at the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja. I'll come back to that of SDP, because the reason why I'm going to come back to it is it that El-Rufai was so much in a hurry to prove something, to make Tinubu fidget, possibly because he had said on several occasions that he helped Tinubu, as it was obviously seen during Buhari's era, during the cash crunch situation. El-Rufai came out to boldly criticize Muhammadu Buhari at the time, and saying that all of this just to punish President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And some people say the president indeed wanted to give him a ministerial position in his cabinet, although El-Rufai says that that's not the case. But based on security, whatever, they declined to offer him that. But let's look at the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja rejecting the attempt by INEC to set aside the judgment directing and compelling INEC to investigate and prosecute perpetrators and sponsors of electoral violence and other electoral offences committed during the 2023 general elections. Mr. Dele Fanimo, it's 2 years after the 2023 general elections. We saw videos of INEC officials inflating results. We saw videos of them collecting money from party agents. We saw evidence. It was even worse during the off-cycle elections. I am surprised because the court has asked INEC on 3 different occasions, asking Mahmoud Yakub, what time will it take you for you to parade these individuals? They even threatened that he could go to jail for contempt of court for refusing to parade these individuals, these electoral offenders. Mahmoud Yakub had refused. The 6 months had elapsed that he was given. At least there's a time frame normally when you are asked to do something in contempt of court. He has blatantly refused to do so. INEC has been accused of aiding and abetting corrupt practices by political parties, especially top political parties. INEC has been accused of not being active when it comes to resolving inter-party issues, like the situation with Labour Party. Even the ADC in Broglio, they accused INEC of dilly-dallying and taking their time after the court judgment. INEC took their time. There is even also accusation of INEC demanding for money for parties. Dumebi Kachuku stated all of this in a podcast. So the question is, why would INEC ask the court to set aside a motion to possibly parade the individuals and begin prosecution on them?
I don't want to believe that was.
Look at it now.
Just wait.
It's in the news. This is it. This is what INEC is saying. For example, INEC's application was brought to challenge the contempt lawsuit brought by Serap against INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu over the commission's failure. There was an earlier judgment on July 18, 2024 by Justice Obiora Egwatu. INEC had on the 17th of December filed a preliminary objection seeking to set aside Justice Egwatu's judgment on the grounds of alleged misrepresentation, non-disclosure and concealment of material facts. INEC also sought to release the Serap lawsuit against INEC so that it can be heard and determined on the merits. But Justice Egwatu in his ruling rejected INEC's argument and dismissed the preliminary objection. Egwatu said that the judgment delivered by this court on the 18th is a final judgment on the merits and not a default judgment as contended by INEC. And for INEC, their own proof or whatever defense is that for them, they believe that the method through which they were asked to parade the offenders, that based on what Serap is alleging, that there is no merit and that there's misrepresentation of what Serap is alleging. But the question is, why have you, there were obvious electoral offenders. Why are those guys still working free? Who do you know Ari is working free?
Esther. Does INEC have power of enforcement? No. It is the duty of the police to arrest and parade. INEC, if they try it, INEC chairman will go to jail.
INEC is meant to be the one to compile the whatever, the list and whatever.
No. The power of arrest, investigation, interrogation, and taking people to court rests with law enforcement, not INEC. Since when has INEC become a law enforcement agency? It is the police that will seek enforcement through warrant of arrest of those people that were alleged to have committed electoral fraud. And it is the police that has the right to prosecute.
Look at this. A person who has been served a process of court cannot be compelled to defend the suit if he does not want to. Once a court is satisfied that an opportunity has been offered to the defendant to defend the action and he chooses not to, he cannot be heard subsequently to say that he was denied a fair hearing. In this instance, it was not denied by INEC that the originating processes of this court was served on it before the substantive application was argued and judgment entered. This much was admitted by INEC in paragraph 3 subsection I of the affidavit in support of its application. The court also in the judgment delivered on the 18th of July found that INEC, despite being served with the originating motion on notice, failed, refused and or neglected to file any process in opposition. And that is why, within the estimated period, they refused to file the process in opposition to the judgment.
Esther, you see, I'm a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer.
I understand that.
But I understand English grammar.
Okay.
You see, this case is purely a matter of contempt. And if you decide not to obey the ruling of a court after a certain period of time, you can be charged for contempt of court. And it is the enrollment of order filed by the court, I mean the judge, I mean the prosecution, that will lead to warrant of arrest that will be enforceable and be enforced by the police, who will now go into INEC office or wherever the person accused of, even if it's the chairman of INEC, to effect arrest and bring him before the court to answer why he disobeyed the court order. So maybe the reporter who wrote this story didn't understand judiciary at all. I reported judiciary for about 7 years, so I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That story is not a complete story, and that story was taken upside down. Ask anybody that understands judicial reporting.
So you're saying that INEC did not take, because again, this is not the first time INEC has been asked. I remember this particular story is on since last year.
Esther, let's not argue this.
No, what I'm saying is that this is since last year. Okay.
The only reason why I would listen to this,
if the court has asked INEC to present those individuals, why the delay?
Then they will arrest the chairman.
Are you for real?
Yes.
Who will arrest INEC chairman?
What?
Mr. Delefanimo, even when Sarap had gone to the court and insisted that INEC chairman should present those individuals, otherwise he'll be liable to contempt of court, INEC chairman did not do that.
I am telling you.
Who will arrest Mahmoud when if he has a coverage, if he has immunity? If he has immunity, who will arrest him?
He doesn't have immunity.
How do you know he doesn't have immunity?
INEC chairman does not have immunity. Are you saying this?
Mr. Delefanimo,
don't you read the constitution?
What I mean by immunity is not in the constitutional term. You know what I'm talking about, immunity.
Look,
because if
he doesn't have it. You see, let me tell you. Either you like it or not, INEC chairman cannot enforce. It's just like somebody getting enrollment of order and telling the GM of this station to help him arrest you and bring that person to court.
Okay,
would you submit yourself to the chairman? I mean, even the chairman of this company, can you submit yourself to him that he should take you to court for contempt? It is the policeman in Makinde police station that will come and do the arrest.
Mr. Delefanimo,
let me tell you,
Mr.
Esther,
what I'm trying to tell you,
there is nothing you want to prove here that I don't know.
I'm not proving anything.
And there's nothing in this case.
I am saying
that
something.
Reporter.
Why, sir? Wait. Why did INEC and their team not oppose the judgment of Justice Egwatu within the stipulated period that they were supposed to? Because that's the essence. Justice Egwatu is holding firm on his judgment. Why did they take that time? Why didn't they do so? I am
sorry, Esther. Before you can argue this, so that we don't look stupid on air, we need to see the CTC of this judgment.
So, of last year.
Anyone that is subsisting that had not been vacated, that's when you understand that whoever reported this was either biased, jaundiced, or setting out to achieve an agenda that is not journalism.
Okay, Mr. Delefanimo, let's agree with you. I know you're a very senior editor and this is your field.
If a reporter brings this kind of story to me, I will query him without even publishing the story.
Let's go with you. Let's go with you with this. We're awaiting INEC to actually affirm this particular whatever from Sarah, because I remember vividly Sarah on 2 different occasions. I remember that if it was not President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that sacked Hudu Yunusa Ari, even Hudu Yunusa Ari came out and made some allegations against Adamawa governor, against Adamawa governor and against INEC. He even said he had a lot of disclosure that he disclosed to INEC chairman, and they did not take his report seriously. He said they did not even listen to it.
Esther, let me ask you a question. Do you realize that there's a difference between criminal and civil matter? To the extent that this man manipulated the electoral process, it's a criminal offense. Why did they put that man in jail in Calabar? Uyo, that manipulated elections, that brought in the current Senate president? Because it's criminal. You are making this case look like a civil matter.
Okay. All right.
And criminal matters, it is not Esther versus Dele. It is state versus Esther. I can only be a witness, prosecution witness in my case. I can't be the one because it's a criminal offense. look.
All right.
That story.
The All Nigeria People's
In
Party.
fact, don't force me to ask you to tell me who published that story.
Don't worry.
And I'll query the editor.
I will tell you after you will see the report here. The All Nigeria People's Party bloc within the ruling All Progressives Congress has warned President Bola Ahmed Tinubu against what it described as a continued marginalization of its members. They're threatening to exit the party ahead of the 2027 general elections. So CPC is asking for one. ACN in the bloc is asking for one, and then AMPP, they are saying, and I think they're trying to protect Kashim Shettima. Would you say that there are already some sparks or whatever within the supposed organized ruling party with this?
You see, throughout the stay of Buhari, there was no whimper from CPC group in the coalition, just because it's their own. Now, somebody is in the saddle that is not their own. They're trying to harass him, to suspicion, blackmailing him and all that.
Okay.
And Tinubu that I know is equal to the task. That's one. Then two, let me tell you, either Shettima or no Shettima, Kwakwanso is the next vice presidential candidate of APC.
Why? The Shettima, them no agree. Shettima people no agree.
What is the fraction of their votes in the last election compared
But why
to?
does the president want to have another vice president?
He needs Kano. The same way he needs Rivers.
But Kwankwaso has been speaking. Kwankwaso recently challenged him and called him out.
Let them call themselves out. Let's see how it pans out. But that same Kwankwaso went to Aso Rock to visit him.
How many states in the north does President Bola Tinubu need?
He needs every state in the north.
No, not necessarily. If he has gotten all the southwest states based on what...
you are not sure?
That's what, what's his name? Former Ekiti state governor.
Fayose is not the one to vote during the election.
Well,
whoever believed that P2B will come off all the way from the southeast to take over Lagos.
Well, 2023 is not going to... 2027 is not going to be like 2023.
Well, were you expecting it in 2023?
Well, now a lot of things.
I'm asking you. Were you expecting it?
You're already seeing the changes. You're already seeing.
Did you see?
Wait, now.
Did you see?
You're already seeing people protesting in Lagos. You're hearing of imposition. You're hearing of greater. You're hearing of tight measures to ensure that nothing. There's no loophole like what happened in 2020.
So there was loophole in 2023.
They feel that a lot of persons did not deliver their polling units for them, and that was why Lagos lost to Labour Party. And they don't want that to repeat itself again if it means them imposing candidates that will deliver that. I mean, this is very obvious. But according to Fayose, he's saying that the Southwest has been gotten. Majority of the South, the FCT, Nyesom Wike is there for him. So that one is on lockdown. And that he just meets a few percentage of the North. The Southeast, necessarily, they didn't vote for Bola Tinubu in 2023 and he still won. So they believe that they don't need the Southeast bloc. But for the North, he just needs a couple of them. And the agenda is to demystify the North by the speculation of the North determines who wins, because they can claim that 65% of the votes came from them. So
the North is no longer as monolithic as it used to be. The Middle Belters, that's why they are angling for the soul of the Middle Belt, not Central.
Not Central.
Now that's why. That's why they have David Mark there, and because of David Mark, they had to zone the chairmanship of APC to the North Central.
Because of David Mark.
Of course, now somebody has to be equal to David Marks in
ADC.
In APC.
In ADC.
No, I said David Mark is in ADC.
Okay.
Then APC.
Yawadata. All right. Mr. Dele Fanimo, I would have loved to have more of this conversation with you and argue with you.
That's why we are here.
That's why we're here. We're actually here to educate ourselves.
Yes.
The ADC have debunked claims of backing Peter Obi. Peter Obi called out the president lately by saying that the president had at one point yabbed him that he's reeling out fake statistics. He's accusing the presidency of reeling out false reports, that he's infused or inducing false reports on
cooked
people.
Up.
Yes, to make it seem as if everything economically is good, and that's not the case. Literally, that the president is being fraudulent in the statistics he's reeling out. And meanwhile, the ADC has come out to say we have not backed anybody and we have not backed Peter Obi at all. This was by the newsman in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the publicity secretary Kingsley Onoche, that it would only support the presidential aspirant who wins the party's primary.
And the beat goes on. And the beat goes on.
All right, Mr. Dede Fanimo, thank you so much for joining us today on the World News at 6. I sincerely do appreciate your input.
It's my pleasure.
All right. Okay. And just before we go, let's look at stories outside the shores of Nigeria. Thank you for staying with us. US President Donald Trump sets a new deadline of 10 or 12 days for Putin to agree to a Ukraine deal and says he will make an official announcement tonight or tomorrow. Trump made the comments during a meeting of his Canberra golf course in Scotland with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. 2 weeks ago, Trump threatened very severe tariffs on Russia's trading partners if we don't have